I'm Thomas Smith from No Frills Influencer, and today I'm sharing a strategy that I've been using with ChatGPT to come up with ideas for blog posts that are maybe not in keyword research tools or not something that that other people in my niche are writing about. So this comes out of this new thing I created. It's called 7 Enormously Useful ChatGPT Prompts for Creators. Basically, I've been testing ChatGPT and before that, GPT-3, going back to 2020 for years now. And there's a couple prompts I just keep coming back to. So I decided to put those into a free download. I'll put a link in the description down below if you want to grab a copy of this. But one of them that I've been using is this prompt that basically turns ChatGPT into a persona and then has it interview you or answer questions and ask you questions about your topic. And I find, again, it's a really great way to simulate the kinds of questions that a real user would be asking, not necessarily the stuff that surfaces in a search engine and where you're going to have a bunch of existing competition. So let me show you how I'm going to use this. This is the one that I'm talking about. It's pretend you are, and then it's you're going to give a description of your target audience member, and that I am, and to say who you are. And then there's these parts of the prompt. What questions do you have that I can help you to answer? Cover the basics, more detailed, specific questions. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this out of my document. This is kind of how this document can serve as a prompt library for you, essentially. Then I'm going to go into ChatGPT, make sure that you've got GPT-4 selected. I'm a Plus subscriber. You can do it with GPT-3, but it's really going to work better with 4. I'm going to go ahead and paste that prompt in. Now I'm going to use this to write some articles for my travel website, which is the Bay Area Telegraph. It's focused on the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm going to say, pretend you are, and then here we're going to give a description of who your target audience member is. And you can be really broad, so I could say something like, a person living in another state besides California who is considering a trip to San Francisco. So that could be one audience member. And again, it could just be like, people who are interested in travel or person who's interested in travel. It could be as specific as like a person in Wyoming who really wants to see the Golden Gate Bridge. Like that's one of the cool things with ChatGPT is you can define super specific or super broad topics. I'm going to say I am a Bay Area resident with 10 years of experience living in the Bay Area. And again, you can make this anything. Like I could be it doesn't have to be who I really am. You could say, I am a Bay Area hotel owner who wants more people to come to my hotels. If you're writing a hotel review, for example, like you can customize it. I'm going to say who I really am, but basically we're setting up who ChatGPT is going to pretend to be and who you are, who you're going to pretend to be, and then basically setting up this dialogue and asking for some questions. So let's run that. I'm gonna pause and we'll come back. Okay, so that took about a minute to finish. And you can see we got a list of basic questions. And I think these are super helpful because, we often like drill into these long tail, niche keywords like, I don't know, the best fish to buy at Fisherman's Wharf or whatever it is, the best crab stands near the water in San Francisco. But, in reality, there's these big questions that a real person would want to know about the city or about whatever your niche is that might not be so obvious from keyword research. And if you're a really expert, like I've lived in the Bay Area for 10 years, I don't know what people who are brand new or thinking of visiting are going to want to know. But when you look at these, it makes a lot of sense. Like, what's the best time of year to visit San Francisco in terms of weather and events? Few neighborhoods that are safe and centrally located. I think people are definitely, concerned or interested in safety in the Bay Area right now. Is it necessary to rent a car? I can tell you this is actually a topic where I wrote an article answering that exact question. There wasn't really any search volume for it in Ahrefs and other tools, and it's one of my top performing articles and top performing affiliate articles. So I think this one in particular, it's really hit the nail on the head here. Iconic experiences or landmarks. How's the parking? Yeah, these are great. So it'll give you the basics, and then the prompt is tailored to also give you really specific questions. So these are also, I think, really helpful because you're getting into long tail keywords essentially, or like questions that a real person might have about your topic, but that again, it's not going to necessarily show up in a keyword research tool or be obvious to you as an expert. So like a good coffee shop with a view, it's kind of interesting. I've heard about sourdough, any specific bakeries or seafood restaurants. Again, it's sort of simulating like what a real person would ask. And I think especially with the helpful content update and the focus now on expert opinions and stuff written for real people, to the extent that you can answer the kinds of questions that a real person would have, it's helpful. But there's also a danger in like going to Reddit or going to Quora, which is I think what a lot of people have done in the past to get real questions, because Google already is aware of those. It's not an information gap that you can help to fill. They already know those answers, and they've been penalizing sites, and they've even said this, that just sort of take what's on Reddit or Quora and rephrase it as a blog post. So instead, this is a way without having to go out and interview a panel of people that you can get some ideas. And I think these are actually quite good. So my next step from this would be, okay, I've got these questions. How do I turn them into blog posts? And basically you want to look at the question and then think of what would the headline be for a post. And I'll give a couple examples of that. So like, what's the best time of year to visit San Francisco? You could write an article like the best time of year to visit San Francisco, but I guarantee you there's tons of competition for that. But it's more interesting to look at it like in terms of weather. Okay, maybe I could do an article like what's the weather like in San Francisco in January? What's the weather like in February? And just have a whole series of posts that address those hyper-specific questions. Maybe a post about like what are some iconic events in San Francisco and then whatever the months are. I know people are looking at like July is a big time here for people to visit. So like what are some of the best events to come visit in San Francisco and see in July? And you could come up with a better headline. But basically thinking of that, the safest neighborhoods in San Francisco, the most walkable neighborhoods in San Francisco for visitors, something like that would address centrally located. As I said, I already wrote a post on this and it's done exceptionally well. These again are more basic, but as we get into the specifics, I think there's even better opportunities and probably even better opportunities for posts that might trend on Google Discover or do well on Facebook or Pinterest. Take a question like this: San Francisco is famous for its sourdough bread and seafood. Any specific bakeries or seafood restaurants you'd swear by? An article like, 5 sourdough bread bakeries that San Francisco locals swear by. That would make a super interesting story and one that would probably do really well in Discover. Or for residents, like these are the 5 sourdough bread bakeries that San Francisco natives swear by. Have you visited all of them, or something like that would be a great Discover headline. Getting into some of these more specifics, you could basically writes itself, like 10 hidden neighborhoods in San Francisco that showcase the city's culture or history. The independent bookstore scene in San Francisco, so I'm sure you could work that into a great headline. Specific ones that you love, like 3 independent bookstores in San Francisco that locals love, or a more provocative one like are San Francisco independent bookstores dead after COVID? Why or why not? Or take a more of a stand on it and say they definitely are or aren't. So I think there's a lot you can do with these things, and microclimates, like addressing some of these specific questions. Sunniest neighborhoods in San Francisco, or anything that talks about those are getting into those very specific things to that niche. So you can do this again, as specific as you want to get, and you can define the roles for the specific type of person you're trying to get and trying to convert. So maybe I would do this and say, pretend you are. Maybe I want to try to get people to buy an info product about visiting the Bay Area with kids. So I'll say you are a dad living in another state besides California, is considering a trip to San Francisco with your three young kids, let's say. And that's going to change up the specific questions and the basic questions that ChatGPT is going to generate. And some of these might kind of just, mirror the same stuff. But yeah, this is super interesting. Like, is San Francisco generally stroller friendly? I don't even know if anybody, I'm sure that's a question that tons of parents have. I don't know if there's any competition for that term at all. I don't think I remember seeing any of my competitors write on that. But the hills of San Francisco, obviously, like you could have a headline like, San Francisco is the hilliest city in America, but is it stroller friendly? Something like that. Or the most stroller friendly neighborhoods, the most stroller friendly attractions. Again, these are things that even as a dad in San Francisco, I'm just too steeped in the culture and know too much to think of those basics, and it's something that I haven't seen really surfaced in keyword research tools. And ChatGPT, by simulating a user and having a good sense of what a real person would ask, as you hone in on those different personas, you can really get some fascinating questions that you can answer in an article that, again, you're filling that information gap. You're putting in information that may not be out there already, and that's really what Google seems to be rewarding at the moment. Plus, some of these create super compelling articles, again, for Discover or Facebook or other places, or Flipboard, just because they are addressing the needs of real people. They're targeted to a specific demographic. Tony Hill has some great content about, how to target people with headlines on Discover in particular. And he talks a lot about choosing specific demographics or types of users, and how Discover really likes to tailor content to specific types of people. And so by having ChatGPT simulate those types of people, it can give you some cool ideas for how to do that. Again, if you found this helpful, go ahead and grab a copy of this. We've got a bunch of prompts in here. It's just one of them. These are things I actually use on a day-to-day basis. It's not just sort of gee whiz cool stuff. It's genuinely stuff that I've found to be helpful in my own business and my own blogs. So go ahead and grab a copy of that. I will put the link in the description. If you like this or you found it helpful, please do like this and let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if you have any success stories or challenges you've faced with using some of these kinds of things with ChatGPT. Let me know. I'm happy to help out.